So I'm really looking forward to today because I'm going to be introducing you and talking with Andy Hield. Andy's someone I've known for 22 years, and for 20 of those 22 years we never spoke, never engaged. I'd always see him, hear of him, stories of him, catch up with friends who knew of him, and on the outside he'd had a fantastic life, playing football, being involved in football. He sent me a message from some of the stuff I was talking about. We met, had a coffee and some decent food, and he just came out and told me something that, yeah, to say surprised me is an understatement. So I'm really pleased that he's going to be sharing that story today, because I'm sure it will also help some other people out there. How you doing, mate?
Morning, pal.
Lovely day for it.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Good to see you.
It was pretty mind-blowing, actually, when you started to talk to me about what you'd been through. I had absolutely no idea. And I'd never known it from looking on the outside into what I thought was your life. Was there a moment in time that you can pinpoint and actually go, that was when I realised something wasn't right, I needed help, or whatever that might have been?
Yeah, there was a build-up to it of constant battling with thoughts. But the moment, as daft as it sounds, was when I was out running with my boys. We was in the middle of COVID, and you're going, right, I need to get these kids moving, got to be a good dad. I remember Sonny, my eldest, was like limping and going, oh, Dad, I'm tired. I'm like, come on, keep up. And I ran off. It was horrible. I remember walking through the door, and it's just numb. That's the only way I can explain it. It was autopilot. I picked up my car keys, stormed out the house, and then there was a period of 20 minutes where I'd made my decision, and it was just total numbness. But my car took off. I decided to hit the accelerator. That moment is hard, like, because that's where I made the decision, and whatever happened next, I was in the land of whatever, control. And then I remember pulling up at traffic lights and then kind of going, what? It was like I was back, and I was like, what have I just done? Horrible. And then I drove home, and I was very quiet. I was quiet for weeks, months. It was a bit of that numbness. Until I started to realise then, something's got to change. Yeah, I can't keep doing this. This is not nice. So,
first and foremost, I remember when you shared that with me the first time. In all my life, in the 40, soon to be 44 years of my life, no one's ever shared anything as impactful with me before. I think it's unbelievably brave. That's amazing that you've managed to share it again. So just talk me through, Andy, in the build up to that, are you conscious to this happening over a period of time into what led you to that moment? Is it oblivious? Is it just something that you realise you were at that point, or did you sort of understand the build up to it?
No. Yeah. Then, no. What I know now is that your thoughts are the language of your brain. We was talking earlier about looking at pictures of my childhood that my mum and dad had literally pulled out the loft recently, and looking back as a kid, like football first and foremost.
Yeah.
Always a good footballer. So even at primary school, that ego, and it's, there's Andy Hield, yeah, he's a good footballer. But even that back then, I'm going like, well, I never really got a pro contract as a kid, so I wasn't good enough, but I was better than him. And then as you go through life, you do well at college, and then all of a sudden you then go to another club, and then again, oh, look at him. You get into business, and then all of a sudden you stood on a stage, and people listen to you, and you're travelling, you've got a bit of money in your back pocket, and I've got a wife, I get married, I have kids, and it's like, oh yeah, great. But throughout all that journey, it's like, why? When the thoughts are good, that's where your confidence is high, the endorphins are released. But when things start to dip, then thoughts start to shift. When the thoughts are negative thoughts, that's then, well, you're on this real slippery slope down into trouble. But then, how do you deal with that? So you find the positive thoughts by going, going out, having a few beers, getting your quick fixes. Then I was in trouble with the wife and kids, and then it starts again. I'm a bad dad because I've come in late from a night out. But then you start to go, why am I doing all this? Was I aware of it as a kid? No. But as things have developed, them thoughts, like I said, become negative thoughts. Then you look for the quick wins that you think you're doing all right, but realistically, they're making you worse.
So it's quite interesting, a couple of things that you say there, and I see this all the time. I knew you at college and then never saw you again in person or interacted with you for 20 years. However, during that period, I'd see of you. You were one of only 60 lads in that college academy that we went to that got a professional football contract. And when that happens, you look up. How's Andy doing? How's he getting over his football? And every now and again, you'd see a story of you built that really successful business. You've obviously see a picture then of your wife and your kids, and from the outside in, you've got this really cool, perfect life where you're doing really well. And it's just another example of that whole point. And everyone says it all the time. You don't know what's going on really with someone's life on their inside or personally.
You don't, mate. You don't know what's going on, and it's, finding that support mechanism in that, we talked about the moment, which was horrible, and then it did take me time, and it's coming to terms with that. It came to me by being active. I was out on a run one day, and I remember it was like a light bulb. It just went boom. Sort your shit out.
So the point that drove you to one of what could have been a very, very serious moment, not only for your life, but for everyone else around you, was when you were out on a run with kids.
Yeah.
And then you're saying the point that brought you to a realisation of actually something needs to change was you were on a run.
On my own. It just hit me. And I remember walking through the door. I went upstairs and grabbed the kids. I went and spoke to them and hugged them. I just had this real feeling of be grateful for what you've got. And then since that, I've been practicing of a lot of that,
Can I just ask, how long after the incident was that?
It was a real blur. COVID was hit. So it was moving into sort of October time. So about 3 to 4 months to get out of it, and time to talk is so relevant, is I started to talk to my wife more importantly than anybody else.
Did you tell her about the incident?
Yeah, eventually. When you start opening up about it, that's when it becomes easy, because you do realise then that things aren't that bad, and you're not worrying about the little intricacies and start to live more in the moment. I've seen Andy's Man Club. Yeah, I went down there and again just started to get stuff off your chest and don't leave it all in, because there's this stigma, and I think that's is that stigma of, I'm a businessman, I'm a footballer. You said of that outside world, as much as that's great, Trev, it's also quite vicious and horrible. And I said them thoughts process where you can go from A to Z straight away. It's like, I've been dropped. I'm on the bench this weekend. It's not about me, it's about, what's everybody else going to say? And you're going, oh no. And that's that realisation to say, stop worrying what other people are thinking. Just start looking after what's in here. And some weeks I'll go and I'll just say, I've not really got anything to get off my chest. But some weeks I'll go, that person on the M6 really got on my nerves today.
So things are going well, football's going well, family's going well, work's going well, and you mentioned about what the perception of that is externally. But that's such a common theme, and I know I do that so much, and you're thinking about, what do people think of this, what do people think of me, what do people think what's going on. Now that you know that, now that you've got a real understanding and awareness of that, how do you did it still happen? How do you deal with it?
It's ego. Ultimately, as soon as that ego gets a bit of a jab in on it, right, what do I do with it now? I'll even say it, it's funny now, I'll prep people, like, the game I played with Paul Gascoigne, I'll tell you it because it's actually quite a funny story. I'll tell you it because it was a really nice moment. But before, I was telling you that story because I wanted you to know that was a good footballer. So I'm not interested in that anymore. I'm just interested in the people that I care about most. I can't remember where I heard this, but it's a brilliant quote, and I murder for this. But you'd far sooner cut your friend's back garden rather than your own. Before I go and cut in anybody's back garden today, I'm going to cut my own, and I'm going to look after me. It's not about ego. It's about being present, about being impactful in what I love, about being around my family more. It's about all of these aspects.
It was really weird. I was just, as you were talking, I was looking up there to my left, and you said the word presence, and everyone always talks about being present, and just as you said that, I was looking up and I was just going, Jesus, do you know what I mean? Like, we're out here, it's a beautiful walk, it's a stunning day. I'm chatting to someone that I had a really cool 2 years of my life with 20 years ago, and we're chatting away, and you said the word presence, and that was pretty poignant. I thought, that's really fucking cool. Talked about going to Andy's Mum Club to get the support that you needed, but you also do a lot of work with them now.
Yeah.
I know that you do a lot of other stuff again that, and this isn't stuff again talking about that ego stuff. This isn't ego because I had to get this out of you, and it's not something you told me. You just turned up at a school that supports children with SEND and disabilities and just helps out there, and you only told me that because you heard about the story with my daughter, so it's not something you go and shout about. You haven't got it over the internet. So is it this stuff? Is that why you do it? Does it help? Is it?
Yeah, of course. You're finding the kind of ikigai of, you know, what I want to do is my personal drive and vision is about physical activity for kids. It's about inclusion for kids. It's about sport. It's about, you know, we have an inactivity, digital age, children. So that's very much my passion. So anything that I can do to change that, and anything that really gives off that real positive endorphin release, rather than going out with a lot of football mates and getting drunk and seeing who's got the best clothes on for the night. That's my release now. Might be a bit boring to some people, but, you know, and sometimes I'll still go out with friends and I can still enjoy myself, but I now know what things are important. You've got to quieten that. So, meditation.
I was having a chat with someone in the gym, in the sauna, actually, funnily enough, about meditation, because I think there's a perception that meditation is one thing, and that sauna mat with with your crossed legs and your arms in the typical pose position. But I am certainly no expert, and I don't know the true definition of meditation. I think I like to believe everyone's got their own definition of meditation, which I think in itself is cool. And for me, it's anything that quietens the mind, that focuses the mind.
Yeah.
It could be riding my bike, it could be running, it could be walking, it could be sitting down in a quiet space with a coffee. So yeah, so I like that.
It's the science behind it as well. Like, you know, the wellness factor is, you know, since I've been doing this, I feel like I've got more energy. You know, I'm doing more. I'm feel excited more. I get up in the morning, I feel like, let's go.
What works for you? What are the 3 things, 3, 4, 5, however it might be 1 or 2 things that work for you?
Don't blame a clown for being a clown. Stop going to the circus. Be around the right people. Find people that, you know, you can talk to, and don't be scared of worrying about the consequences of being open, the stigma attached to it.
Absolutely amazing. That's really, really good. I really appreciate you sharing that. I'm sure a lot of people are going to get a lot from that, mate.
Enjoy my day now.
Go for it. All right, mate. See you later. I hope you enjoyed that 15-minute piece with Andy. There's a couple of pretty poignant bits in there, and certainly I'm sure wasn't easy for Andy to share. It wasn't easy to listen to. I'll tell you now, there was a couple of bits in there that were really hard for me even to listen to, and I've heard that story before, but him sharing that story is extremely brave, and I hope that you get a lot out of it, or there's someone else that you can think of that you can maybe empathise, have a chat with, share this with, that might get something out of it themselves. But yeah, thanks again for listening, I really appreciate it.